Hello, this is Rami calling or speaking to you from Finland, Helsinki. Today is the December 8th, and I felt the urge that I'd like to keep from now and then some type of video blog speaking a little bit about what is going on in Aleppo, my city Aleppo, and where I have been visiting frequently in the past 4.5 years. The atrocities that my people are facing in Aleppo, it's beyond words, and where I can explain and describe to you the horror messages I've been getting from Aleppo city, from my people on the ground, my friends, my relatives. Tells the story in worst case scenarios. The eastern part of Aleppo in the past 4 months been living under a very brutal siege inflicted by the Assad regime along with his foreign militia fighters brought to the country to occupy the land and displace its majority civilians, to either annihilating them, killing them, sieging the areas they live in, starving them, and of course with the cooperation of the mighty force Russia that came in with full power to Syria to occupy the country from the skies and bomb the civilians on the ground to a degree that never happened before in our modern time. Syrian humanitarian crisis is the worst since the Second World War, and probably the worst in a very long time, even beyond World War II. Over 300,000 people still live in Aleppo, eastern part of Aleppo, and these areas been heavily bombarded by air, by heavy artilleries, by Scud missiles, by cluster bombs, by bunker buster bombs, by barrel bombs, phosphoric bombs, caloric bombs. You name the bomb, and it's been used in Syria and on its civilians, especially in the eastern part of Aleppo. It is very important for you to know that this beautiful old part of Aleppo is now completely demolished. And in the recent 5 weeks, after a very vicious airstrikes on civilians and demolishing every single standing building in that city, the ground forces of Assad regimes and his foreign militia backed by Iran, Iraq and Lebanon, foreign fighters actually came to Syria and supporting Assad's regime's agenda to wipe out whatever left in Aleppo. After they have successfully demolished everything from air, now they are marching toward the city by occupying area by area, cutting down all water and all food supplies, all electricity. The city has been living over 3 months, over 100 days in complete darkness. And I don't know how could human being can really endure that along with your family and children. And this is beyond explainable, beyond enduring, beyond anyone could imagine. And I've been personally extremely excruciated in following the news that has been coming out of Aleppo, and at the same time very depressed by the world's media in calling it Aleppo crisis. It's not, I don't see it's a crisis. It is a clear genocide inflicted on civilians. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody lift a finger. All the calls for help is being in vain, and no one has really seriously done anything to reach out to these people by pressuring Russia to stop its aggression and its vicious war crimes on Syrians. Now the Assad regime is gaining ground in the eastern part of Aleppo, gaining over 50% of the eastern part, killing whatever is moving in front of him, and displacing tens of thousands of people from their parts towards the inner side of the city. It's not a heroic act to occupy a land after demolishing it from the sky by the world's most advanced warplanes. It has been very difficult to hear some people saying that fierce fighting, or even media, highly respected media channels or news channels, saying fierce fighting between rebels and Assad-backed regime or backed army. I don't know what type of fierce fighting in here. We're talking about men with light weapons, have no heavy artillery in whatsoever. They have no planes, they have no helicopters, fighting world superpower, giant country like Russia, backed with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of soldiers on the ground, with full equipments. They got all the intelligence agencies backing them. They got all the money they need. They got world silence backing that indirectly, backing these atrocities indirectly. So how could we say fierce fighting? There is no fierce fighting in the eastern part of Aleppo. There is a genocide taking place in Syria right now, Aleppo, right in front of our eyes. And I personally think or feel very desperate, very I'm in pain to watch my people dying every day. I have been losing my friends day by day. Every day I get a news that I've lost a friend that I knew dearly. It is painful to talk about it, but that is the truth. Nobody's doing anything about what's going on in Aleppo. We gotta stop this. People are really got dry throat shouting out for help. We gotta do something. We gotta step up and do something to end these atrocities. Even the rebel groups has offered yesterday a proposal saying that they're willing to halt fighting for 5 days to get out the injured people, the wounded, weak civilians, and whoever wants to leave these eastern parts of Aleppo are allowed to get out. And that proposal was met with more bombing, with more fighting, with more heavy shelling, and also with more advancing on the ground. They are not, Assad regime and his allies are not advancing on the ground and occupying a certain area before they completely demolish it. So they're occupying basically a burned land, a land that is not even useful anymore for inhabitants. It will be impossible to rebuild it. I've seen with my own eyes in Aleppo numerous times how the situation was really bad and how the eastern part of Aleppo will be completely demolished. But after this 3 months, 110 days of heavy shelling and bombardments from all directions, I don't think there is anything more left. I mean, the whole eastern part of Aleppo turns into a mass grave. We cannot have this happening. It is very important for us here in the civilized world to really act. Sign petitions, pressure governments. I don't know. I mean, I feel so helpless. Please help. Please get yourself together and do something about it. I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I hope there are somebody's listening. There are over 120,000 kids that are still living in Aleppo. We cannot afford to lose them all. And we are losing them all if we don't do anything about it. I feel so helpless knowing that I cannot do anything myself. I've traveled myself last time 2 months ago, and I don't know what to do. I was supposed to be there in Syria, but nobody on the ground telling me that it's worth coming. This is nothing you can do. There is nothing. And this has been the most horrifying moments in my life in the past 60 days, watching all this going down. And nothing actually is taking place. I flip the channels around the world and watch what's the news are talking about. Nothing important, nothing at all about the genocide in Aleppo. This is a shame for humanity. This is a shame for all of us. Please do something. Thank you.